to the Believe in Badgers podcast on the Believe Podcast Network, presented by betonline.ag. Once again, I'm Matt Perkins. Today, here to break down the tape on the latest Wisconsin commit, 2024 linebacker Landon Gauthier out of Green Bay and Bayport High School. Another big defensive commit for the Badgers this week, right on the heels of the news of Thomas Heiberger that just came out a couple days ago over on Sunday. Two commits in the span of 96 hours for Wisconsin, and two really important pieces for the future of this defense. But before we get into the tape on Landon Gauthier, I want to remind you guys that we are presented by betonline.ag, where they continue to be your number one source for all of your online sports wagering needs. You name it, they've got it over there at betonline.ag. So head on over to the website or use your mobile device to sign up today and receive a 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit with our promo code BELIEVE. That's BLEAV. Bet Online, where the game starts. And so we're going to start here with Landon Gauthier. He is a high 3-star according to rivals.com, and he's a kid who has a lot of really interesting offers and a lot of upside as an athlete on the defensive side of the field. I think that in Coach Tressel's 3-3-5, you're going to see him more often than not lining up off-ball middle linebacker, but he has the versatility to end up to be used as a situational edge rusher, as well as we'll notice here in as we pull up the tape. He does a little bit of everything for Bayport. He's used especially as a pass rusher on third and long situations, but we'll see him here drop back into coverage, read the quarterback, come up and make a big play. And that is another thing that you are going to see on tape here, is that his football IQ is really top notch. He diagnoses plays very well, and is getting to the ball at the same time as the offensive players are a lot of the time when he's in pass coverage. And you can see the get off here, the first step. He's got a great frame. 6'3", 6'4", about 230 pounds right now. And while you think that might be the frame of what my friend Clint and I love to refer to as a Midwest Mike, I think he has much more athleticism than your standard Midwest Mike, if you will. He's able to do a lot, drop back into coverage, like I said before. And he's as an adept as a run defender as he is as a pass defender as well. He chose Wisconsin over some pretty significant offers, including Stanford, Syracuse, Minnesota. But it seemed like from the beginning that the in-state standout here was going to, always be a Badger, especially once this coaching staff, Coach Fick, and this new defensive coaching staff offered him. I think it was only a matter of time that before he committed. And Wisconsin now has 3 recruits from the state of Wisconsin for the 2024 class already. Adding on top of Gauthier is Rob Booker from Wanakee, and the offensive lineman Derek Jensen from Arrowhead, whose tape I broke down a little bit earlier this week. But as we can see here, while we're still watching the tape here on Gauthier, like I said, the football IQ really shows up. We see here him drop back, diagnose the play, cut off any passing angles, then come up and make the play behind the line of scrimmage against the quarterback. And just overall, he's got a knack for being around the ball, and that's really impressive, especially for a defensive player. So I'm if I'm a Badger fan, I am very optimistic about the way that things are going right now on the recruiting front. Especially after they'd gotten started with a bunch of offensive players. Now they've got a couple defensive players in a row. I would imagine this might be, the start of a bit of a run here on defensive players. Guys are going to want to commit before the summer. I mean, the team is really starting to blow up. There's a lot of noise. There's a lot of buzz around the program across the country. Recruits have been talking about it, especially, in and out of the Midwest. But, so, these spots are going to be, tough to come by. If you are a recruit, you want to make sure that you have your spot on the bus before it departs the station. And so, in a guy like Gauthier, like, he's going to be a great fit. He's going to be an absolute great fit here in the 335 for Mike Tressel, and the rest of the defensive coaching staff. Believe in Badgers is excited to be brought to you by Infinigods. Infinigods is a gaming studio with a suite of free, fun-to-play games centered around ancient mythologies and civilizations. Visit Infinigods.com to play their first game, Infinimerge, and learn about their upcoming tower defense game. Play for fun or play to compete and take your shot at winning digital collectibles. That's Infinigods at Infinigods.com, unleashing the power of blockchain games. So with him, with Heiberger, I still imagine there will be at least one other linebacker. Now, whether that's more of an edge or more of a traditional off-ball linebacker like the role Gauthier will probably play is to be determined as they move forward through this cycle. I know the Badgers have a couple options that they are really interested in here moving forward, at the linebacker position. But with both of these guys in tow, in place now, they can be really selective about who they target. And I think that's a really good place to be here in this 2024 recruiting cycle. They're still going to have to be very active after some defensive linemen and continue to be active in the defensive backfield. We know that they brought in a lot of defensive backs in this 2023 class that, some of them have early enrolled. The rest will come this summer. And they're still, they stocked up on, got another cornerback in the portal and Jason Maitre. And then I know they've targeted another cornerback coming out of Boston College as well in the portal recently for the summer cycle. So it's going to be really interesting to see how the team builds out their 2024 class and supplements it with portal players from other schools. We're definitely going to see a couple linemen brought into this class. I think that I know that the priority right now is David Stone, the 5-star defensive tackle out of IMG Academy in Bradenton, Florida. He is, as national a recruit as it comes. It's going to be a battle between Wisconsin and honestly Oklahoma in this one, maybe a couple other programs, but I know that the staff is really high on him. I mean, how can you not be? He's one of the best defensive tackles in the country, an absolute monster. So, I think he's definitely someone to keep an eye out. He's someone, though, that won't have a decision to be made for a while. I think he's going to let it play out and go on some officials through the summer and the fall. Nonetheless, though, Wisconsin fans have got to be really, really excited about another stud out of Bayport High School coming down to play for the Badgers here on the show. A couple weeks ago, we had former Bayport standout Alec Ingold on the show, and he always talked about how important football culture was up there for that school, and how there's definitely somewhat of a pipeline from Green Bay to Madison. And it's exciting that Gauthier is going to be able to continue this pipeline for the Badgers. So we will be back very soon with our interview with Brian Calhoun. And then we've got some other really exciting guests coming up next week. So just make sure that you are staying tuned. Please subscribe to the YouTube page and wherever you're listening to podcasts. Check out our social medias on Twitter and Instagram at Believe in Badgers. And so thank you so much for tuning in to the Believe in Badgers podcast on the Believe Podcast Network, presented by betonline.ag. And until next time, on Wisconsin.